Fascinating stuff, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, fascinating and eye-opening as well. And it sort of dovetails with our next guest, Mickey Rapkin, who is a writer and also has a new movie out that he directed. Gets to the heart of how you reach generation under 35 about the Holocaust. He's done a film called The Anne Frank Gift Shop, which he will tell us all about. But it looks at how you reach this generation, some of whom have no idea that certain moments in history actually existed and actually happened.
Mickey Rapkin is a marvelous writer. He was a magazine writer at GQ for many years. He was also the author of the memoir Pitch Perfect, which went on to become the television series. His new film is called The Anne Frank Gift Shop, and it's all about telling an important story of the Holocaust to an audience that might not be as familiar with it as perhaps they should be. We're very happy to have Mickey here with us. Welcome, Mickey.
Thank you for having me.
So, Mickey, tell us about your new film, The Anne Frank Gift Shop, and why you made it.
Yes, The Anne Frank Gift Shop. It is a dark comedy, a very dark comedy that imagines a meeting between the Anne Frank house and the New York design firm they've hired to help them renovate the gift shop to appeal to young people. Very dark premise that grew out of a very real problem, which was this study from a couple of years ago that showed 2/3 of young Americans could not tell you how many Jews were killed in the Holocaust. 11% of these respondents somehow believe Jews caused the Holocaust. So the film is sort of a way to continue to tell this story and disarm young people with a comedic language they understand so that we can hit them with this emotional appeal.
So, Mickey, tell us about the day in Los Angeles when the tote bags arrived at your house that were emblazoned with the face of Anne Frank. What else happened in the world that day?
Yes. Very dark moment in time. And here's another dark comedic story. Yeah, on October 7th, the day that war broke out, that Hamas launched this sort of terrible attack, killing Jewish people, a box arrived at my house of 70 canvas tote bags with Anne Frank's face on them. This was not a hate crime. I had actually ordered these Anne Frank tote bags to be gift bags at an event I was doing in a few weeks for my film in Los Angeles. It was just a sort of very dark, sad moment. Obviously, nothing about me and the tote bag, nothing, but just a sort of dark moment to open this box of and be reminded of these horrors while fresh horrors were unfolding.
This experience piqued one of the primary questions of your story, which is, as you say, there's no wrong way to talk about the Holocaust, but is there a wrong time? Where have you landed on that?
Yeah, I think there's certainly not a wrong time. As one of the characters in the film says, we have to keep telling this story again and again and again, every which way we can, or it will happen again. Schindler's List was 30 years ago, the Spielberg masterpiece about the Holocaust, and that film really shocked people with images. And I think now we're at a time where young people are entirely desensitized to images. The scientists call it empathy fatigue. These kids have access to horrors in their pockets on their phones 24 hours a day. So in a way, the film, it does ask this question, is there a wrong way to talk about the Holocaust? Which we're saying there's not. We're using this comedic language to shock young people so that we can disarm them and then hit them with the emotional appeal of the film, which is that we have to keep telling this story. And I think there's so many people right now trying to tell this story in new ways. There's this Jonathan Glazer movie, Zone of Interest, that's coming out in December, which is about the very mundane life of an SS officer and his wife who live on the other side of the wall next to Auschwitz. And it's really just about the wife complaining about having to move, and the kids are playing in the yard and the swimming pool. And people always ask themselves, like, how could these people sleep at night? Like, if you were a Nazi soldier, how could you? It turns out they slept quite well, as long as their wife was happy in their home. But it's just another way to tell the horror of this story.
We talked a little bit recently about, as you note, it's TikTok generation, where they see images, how they get stories told to them. And I think about the inventiveness of your movie. And then I think about Art Spiegelman doing Mouse, which was 25 or whatever years ago. And that was revolutionary for its time, a graphic novel treatment of the Holocaust and Auschwitz.
Which is now getting banned. Mouse is like one of the big banned books.
Right. It brought that story to a generation where it lived, which I think, as you say, to note, how do you get the story in front of people when there's a sizable percentage of people under 25 who have no knowledge of it? So it's that struggle, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we're constantly talking about that. I shared my film with the actual Anne Frank house. And of course, I was very nervous. Like, are they going to laugh at these jokes? Someone pitches an escape room. There's rough jokes in this movie. And the Anne Frank house acknowledged, for one, they thought the movie was funny, which was a relief. But also they acknowledged that these are conversations and struggles that they're having internally about how to reach Gen Z and millennials with this story. It's a constant struggle, especially as every year there are less and less survivors alive. It's really scary, especially in this rampant age of misinformation. What do we do we have to safeguard ourselves for a time when there will be no eyewitness.
Mickey, for those who want to see the Anne Frank gift shop, I know you've seen it. It's been at festivals. It's won some awards at festivals. It's now screening for Academy Award consideration. Where can people see it?
We've got a handful of events coming up in November at the Weitzman Center in Philadelphia. There's a big talk next week at the Holocaust Museum in Toronto, but hopefully it'll be streaming more widely very soon, because we feel in this moment now more than ever that this story needs to be out there and needs to be told, and we want to get it in front of as many eyeballs as we can.
Well, Mickey, thank you so much for this great story and for telling us all about the process of promoting this film and how fraught and complex it can be. But most of all, thank you for this great film. I've seen it. It's wonderful. I hope everyone else enjoys it as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.